Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hope One Live. We're going to do something on this program we've never done before. We've never tried before. We hope it's going to work. We're going to do a live Q&A where we want to pull you up on screen with us so we can interact person to person. We don't want to just read your chat in the YouTube or Facebook chat stream. We want to bring you on. And we're going to try a new technology to get this done. And the man who makes all this work, the whiz himself, the great Jorge Gill, is going to explain to you how you can be on this program with us live via Skype. So, Jorge, tell our friends how they can ask a question and come on this program live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? We're going to be having a little bit of fun today. As you can see, we have Frank looking good. We're here in the studio. We have a special Q&A show for you. We've been absent for a few weeks, but we're back. And we want to actually invite you to be part of our show. And the rules are super simple. Okay, it's going to be super simple. This is what we're going to do. All you have to do is go to crossexamine.org/SQ. And that stands for Skype questions. So what you do is you go over to the site. You go to actually, I'm going to show it to you. Easy. crossexamine.org/Skype questions. SQ. Hit enter. And then the page will populate and you will see this quick form. All you have to do is fill it out. Your name, you give us your name, your Skype name. Now you don't have to, we're not going to give this Skype address or Skype name to anybody. Remember that the Skype name starts with live, then a colon, then whatever the name is. Sometimes it's a series of like a serial number. Sometimes it's a name, whatever. That's what we need. Then you have a multiple choice here. You choose the one that corresponds to you, and then you give us a 25 words or less summary of your question, and we try to get to it. We're going to screen the questions, and we're going to try to get to as many as we can. Of course, you understand when we have hundreds of people watching across multiple platforms, sometimes it's difficult to get to all of them. Impossible. But if your question is chosen, I will call you into this. I will add you into this call and bring you on the screen so you can have an interaction with us live. So once again, I'm going to do a quick summary of what we're going to do. All you have to do is go to crossexamine.org/SQ and fill out the form. And then we have a team member that is going to be screening the questions. And if you're chosen, I will give you a ring on Skype. So you have to have the notifications on your phone or on your computer so we can bring you in. Those are the rules, okay? Those are the rules. We're trying to make this fun. And this is an idea that Frank had. And I'm going to be honest, I usually have the best ideas. Sometimes I steal Frank's ideas. All right. But this was Frank's idea. And I got to be honest. He says, hey, look, man, we love to have that interaction in the college campus. And this COVID has forced us to really evolve in the way we do apologetics, in the way we reach out to the masses. And this is one of the ideas that Frank had. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead on and start sending your questions now. And I'm just going to give it back to Frank because he's going to talk about the end of times. Okay, he is going to be talking about the end of times.
That's right. I'm going to be talking about end times for just a minute until we get enough of your questions in the queue. Then we're going to go to your questions. So keep in mind, when you fill out that form, you got to have your Skype up on your computer in front of your camera ready to go, because we may just call you and then boom, you're going to be in on this program. All right.
That's right.
Now behave yourself. If you start mouthing off, Jorge is going to probably hit a button that says what?
Well, it's simple, Frank. I know you've never said this to me, but what? I said that to the team all the time.
You're fired. You're fired.
And then if they start going off, and we know it's baloney.
Wrong.
That's
Okay,
right.
so we have the soundboard ready. So we're ready to go, Frank. Give it back to you.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the end times for just a minute, and then we're going to go to your questions. There's a lot of talk about the end times. Crazy year in 2020. Still crazy now. The world is crazy. What do we make of it? Are we in the end times? I want to ask you a question. Be honest. When you're reading Old Testament prophecies, if you're in the Old Testament, you're probably not going to figure out when Jesus is going to come or who Jesus is, or, I mean, the prophecies seem kind of veiled. Yeah, there's some specific ones. Daniel 9 is pretty specific. Isaiah chapter 53 is pretty specific, but there's still some ambiguity in there. Why would God put ambiguity into prophecy? I want you to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2 for just a second, because I've recently this section of scripture popped out at me, and I think it explains a lot. Now, in 1 Corinthians, Paul's writing to the church at Corinth, and he's pointing out a lot of problems that they have, but he's also saying, look, he's a real apostle. And there are people there who are siding with celebrities and personalities, and Paul just wants to set the record straight. And here's what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 6. Listen to this. He says, we do speak a message of wisdom among the mature, but not the wisdom of this age or of the rulers of this age who are coming to nothing. No, we declare God's wisdom, a mystery that has been hidden. Get that? A mystery that has been hidden, and that God destined for our glory before time began. None of the rulers of this age understood it, for if they had, they never would have crucified the Lord of glory. Do you see he's saying here that the mystery has been hidden by God until now, and if it was understood, the rulers of this age never would have crucified the Lord of glory. They never would have crucified Jesus. In other words, if the prophecies were too specific and Jesus was too overt in his claims to be God from the very beginning, they never would have killed him. And therefore, if they never would have killed him, we wouldn't have had a sacrifice. It's only after all this happens can you go back into the Old Testament and you could go, wow, why didn't I see this before? You know why? Because the New Testament is sort of like the box top to the prophetic jigsaw puzzle of the Old Testament, particularly when it comes to the Messiah. You ever try and put together a puzzle without the cover? It's really hard if it's, 1,000 pieces. We did that over the holidays, tried to put together this big puzzle, and without the box top, it's really difficult. But once you get the box top, then you can really see how the pieces fit together. And this is what I think the New Testament does for the Old Testament prophecies. Now, could it be that God is also veiling the prophecies for the second coming? Now, why would he do that? Maybe for the same reason he did it the first time, because they never would have crucified the Lord of glory if they knew Jesus really was the Messiah. And if we knew when Jesus was coming back, that might alter our behavior in a negative way. Suppose, for example, it was crystal clear that Jesus was going to come back and say, 2421, 300 years from now. How would that change our behavior? We might go, Jesus isn't coming back. I'm in pretty good health. I'm just going to live my life the way I want to live it. I'm not going to really work for the Lord anymore. When I know I'm about to die, then I'll get my fire insurance and I'll get to heaven. Now, of course, that's not really the way to live, but people might be tempted to do that. But when you think that the Lord could come back at any minute, and he said, I'll come as a thief in the night, and nobody knows when I'm coming back. Nobody knows the times or the seasons. Nobody knows the day or the hour. Jesus, in his human nature, didn't know. In his divine nature, he did. But that's important that some of this is veiled. And look, there are people way smarter than me that know the original languages that have studied the end times. They all agree Jesus is coming back. They all agree we're going to win in the end. but they sometimes disagree as to how this is going to occur. Well, I'm perfectly fine with that ambiguity. And when people, say, when's Jesus coming back? I say, look, I'm not on the planning committee. I'm on the welcoming committee. I don't know when he's coming back, but I'm just going to welcome him when he comes. And we all ought to be ready because he could come at any minute. You know when he's going to come? And he told us, actually, when the full number of the Gentiles comes in. When is that? He says that in Romans 11, I believe. Nobody knows when the full number of Gentiles are going to come in. In other words, when he's going to be able to save as many people as possible. That's when Jesus is coming back, and nobody knows when that's going to happen. Nobody on TV, nobody on the internet, nobody preaching in pulpits today knows when that's going to happen because Jesus said nobody would know. And it's probably for a good reason. So I'd just like to leave that with you as we get now to your questions. And Jorge, do we have any questions where we could actually bring people up on screen and have an interaction? Because that's a really way to interact rather than just reading the chat. So what do we got?
We have a little bit of a glitch because our team member decided to go innovate the table that I have for the screening the questions on his own, and he's delaying the process. So we're just gonna sit here quietly, and we're gonna listen to some harps while we wait for this. Okay, I haven't had time to screen any questions because they were never given to me. So I'm just gonna put you back on, and you're gonna do the end of times things all over again.
All right, man. Let's
and
do
then
it.
I come back. Okay.
Let's get somebody. I hope you guys want to be on live because
No. We have tons of people here. Okay.
All right.
We have tons of people here. I just have to make sure I screen it. So I'll give it back to you so people don't see me working, and then I'll come back.
Hey, let me say one other thing. I see in the chat here, people are asking about Ravi Zacharias, and apparently the final report about that whole sexual scandal has come out today. I have not seen it yet, so I can't comment on it. I haven't commented on it yet because I want to make sure I read the report before I say a word. So that's what I'm going to do. So if you have any questions about that, I can't answer them tonight because I haven't read the report. I don't know what's in it. I will probably do a podcast on it next week after having a chance to read the report. Obviously, it's a tragic situation, a very sad situation, but I don't know any of the details, so I can't comment on it. Let me ask you guys to think about another question that you hear, or an assertion that you hear sometimes, particularly from the atheistic side. You hear people saying things like this. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You've probably heard that claim. I think it was made by Carl Sagan. Those of you who don't know who Carl Sagan was, he was a astronomer who was a naturalist or an atheist, and he used to run a series on PBS called The Cosmos, where he famously said something like, the cosmos is all that ever was and all that ever will be. He was a scientist, but oddly, that statement, the cosmos is all that ever was and all that will ever be, is not a scientific statement. It's a statement of philosophy. How does he know the cosmos is all that ever was or all that will ever be? That's not something that science can tell you. In fact, science, as you know, properly interpreted, in my view anyway, shows us that the universe had a beginning. So it's not the only thing that's ever been. And if it had a beginning, it must have had a beginner. If space, matter, and time had a beginning, whatever created space, matter, and time can't be made of space, matter, and time. In other words, the cause must be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, powerful to create the universe out of nothing, personal in order to choose to create, because to go from a state of nothingness to a state of creation, someone had to make a choice, and only persons make choices. The cause would also have to be intelligent in order to have the ability to make a choice. So I ask people, when you think about a spaceless, timeless, immaterial, powerful, personal, intelligent cause, who do you think of? And the answer, of course, is God. Of course, they're going to ask, well, how do you know it's the Christian God? And my response is, we don't. Yet, we haven't done enough research yet. The cosmological argument for the existence of God does not get you to the Christian God. It could be the Christian God, but it could be Allah or some other theistic God. You don't know yet. In order to see if it's the Christian God, you've got to look at some historical evidence and see if Jesus rose from the dead. And if he did rise from the dead, then the same being that walked out of the tomb 1,988 years ago is the same being in whose divine nature created the universe out of nothing. But you've got to use historical evidence to establish that. So the cosmological argument gets what appears to be at least a deistic God, maybe a theistic God, but you don't get all the way to Christianity. In any event, you hear people say that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And what you need to do when people say that is, what do you mean by extraordinary? Give me a definition. Well, they're going to say, look, we can't believe in miracles because we don't see miracles, and it would be extraordinary to have a miracle occur, so you need extraordinary evidence. And then you would ask them, well, what kind of extraordinary evidence would prove to you that a miracle occurred? Ask them that question. I think they'd probably say, another miracle. Yeah, but then you would need another miracle to affirm that miracle, and another miracle to affirm that miracle. I mean, what do you mean by extraordinary? You really need clarification there. And look, I do not think it's an extraordinary claim to say that someone rose from the dead if God exists. I mean, if God exists, and how do we know he exists? As even atheists are admitting, as I just mentioned, that space, matter, and time had a beginning, then the greatest miracle in the Bible has already occurred, the creation of the universe out of nothing. And that being that created the universe can certainly intervene in the universe to raise somebody from the dead if he wants to. If he can create the entire universe out of nothing, he can certainly raise somebody from the dead inside that universe. And so I don't think it's extraordinary, or you need even extraordinary evidence to prove that. But here's the real interesting thing. And by the way, I'm going to spend this week's podcast on this and go into it a little bit deeper. The interesting thing, in my view, is if you want to use their definition of extraordinary, whatever that is, that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, virtually nothing that atheists claim they have any evidence for, much less extraordinary evidence. I mean, that the universe came into existence out of nothing by nothing, that's an extraordinary claim, and there's zero evidence for it. We have seen no evidence of things popping into existence out of nothing by nothing without a cause. And if we did, it would undercut science, because that's what science does. It studies cause and effect. Also, the fine-tuning of the universe. The universe is so fine-tuned that if you were to change any one of a number of factors virtually imperceptibly about our universe, there would be no universe and there would be no life. And yet atheists are trying to explain the extreme fine-tuning by resorting to a multiverse. There's zero evidence for a multiverse. It's an extraordinary claim to say there are other universes out there that we've never even witnessed, that we can't even access. And you want us to accept that? That is an extraordinary claim, and there's not extraordinary evidence for it. In fact, there's no evidence for it. Also, the idea that evolution has given us our moral sensibilities. Well, look, if evolution has given us our moral sensibilities, then evolution has given us all of our sensibilities, including all of the thoughts we have. And if that's the case, why should we believe those thoughts? That's an extraordinary claim to say that your intuition that torturing babies for fun was given to you by a biological process that didn't have an end in mind, and that it gave that same intuition to everybody that exists, and that it's not really an obligation, it's just a sentiment given to you by a biological process. That's an extraordinary claim, and there's zero evidence for it. And I could go on, and many other claims that atheists make, yet they try and apply the extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence to Christians. Christians have some evidence for their worldview. Atheists have never shown a situation where something can come from nothing without a cause. They've never shown a situation where fine-tuning can occur without an intelligence. They've never shown a situation where laws can come without lawgivers. And yet, that's what they're trying to claim the moral laws come from, the natural laws come from, the laws of math, the laws of logic. They come from somebody or from something that wasn't a lawgiver. That seems to be an extraordinary claim, and there's not extraordinary evidence for it. There's no evidence for it. As I say, we'll unpack this further.
Okay, Frank,
week.
you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so we have our first invite here. So what I'm gonna do, and again, all it is completely new to us, so bear
We'll
with
see
us.
if it works.
Okay, let's see if it works. Let's bring him
We've
in.
never tried this before. Do not try this at home, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. So
Right, who are we bringing on?
Let me see. Okay, I'm trying to get this done. Okay, so see if I can add him. Maybe I hope it doesn't get him out. Let's see. I think this is the echo sound. Okay, maybe this is him.
Hello, welcome to Skype call testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
That's not the Skype testing service.
Remove from call. Yeah, I don't know why this person is not allowing me. Okay, let me hang this up. Okay, let me get. Okay, now. I lost Frank. Hey, doesn't matter. We're bringing back in, guys. So we lost Frank. Okay, so I'll bring Frank in, and then I bring the other fella. Okay, Frank, I lost you. It was my fault, and now we got him. It just didn't update it. So now we're gonna ring the other. Right. Okay, right now we're trying to ring him. See if he shows up. And if he shows up, we bring him into the show.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Let's try it.
So,
again, don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen.
So, Felipe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, so can you turn your camera on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're going to get Felipe here, and we're going to try to bring him on the screen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time we've done this ever. So we're going to bring Felipe in here. I don't see your camera. I'm trying to get you in. And yeah, I see you now.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Wait, I can see him, but I don't know if people can see him in the audience.
Oh,
we got it now.
Okay. Wait. We got to do some technical things here. Hold on. Well, you sound double. So the audio mixer. And this is the first one, and we got no monitoring. Now, talk to me, Felipe.
All right. Can I say it in Spanish?
You see, this guy, I didn't know. He texts me and he says, "Hey, look, man, I'm a Spanish learner." I say, "Okay, bro, I'm from Costa Rica. Go ahead on and shoot."
Go ahead, man. He'll translate. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Okay. Quería hacerle unas preguntas en específico sobre la duda, ya que...
So his question is related to doubt.
Yeah.
All right.
So, quería preguntarle como yo he sido un cristiano desde que nací, me he crecido en un lugar cristiano, pero...
He said he was born and raised in a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
Entonces, me he preguntado porque me he metido mucho en la apologética. Pero
he's been digging deep in apologetics.
Good.
Pero como le digo que no hablo mucho el inglés, así que he intentado saber más y poder responder a las preguntas que yo tengo. Pero
so he's trying to be able to answer the questions that he have, and there he comes.
Pero el problema es de que al ver tantas personas en YouTube como que hay también apologéticos como del Islam y los ateos, los escépticos, entonces al ver como muchas personas dicen, no, esto es tal cosa, y luego los apologéticos dicen, no, esto es tal cosa, y luego otra persona dice, no, esto, así que me confunde y no sé a quién creerle.
So he says that because of the amount of apologetics channels, but not Christian apologetics channels, but, atheists who are trying to refute our claims, and Muslims that actually have their own set of apologies. He's confused because he doesn't know how he can be certain that actually what he's learning about Christianity through Christian apologetics is true. So how would you answer that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And that's one of the reasons I think it's really important, if you can do it, to get trained formally, to go to some place like Southern Evangelical Seminary, ses.edu. And you can do it from anywhere in the world now, or you can take online courses from us. In fact, Jim Wallace, Detective Jim Wallace, is about to start the Cold Case Christianity course here on Monday at our website. Go to crossexamine.org, click on online courses. Jorge Gil right here teaches I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist in Spanish, okay? So you can get some formal training. And what we do in apologetics in Christianity is we don't just examine arguments for Christianity. We also examine arguments that say Muslims bring forth to support Islam, and we cross-examine those. So what you want to do is you want to bring those arguments to the class or to people that are also apologists and see if they can deal with the arguments that the atheists are bringing or the Muslims are bringing or whoever else is bringing. And then you have to make a decision as to who do you think has the better case. And that's one of the things that I think that Christians do, at least Christian apologists do, is we try and understand the other side, generally. Look, I've had about 10 debates, other than the hundreds of debates I've had with my wife. I've lost all those, Felipe. But the 10 debates that I've had with atheists, there's only one atheist that I debated. His name is Jeffrey Lauder, great guy who started Internet Infidels back in like 1995. He is the only one, Felipe, that read anything I wrote. Hitchens didn't read anything I wrote. Shermer didn't read anything I wrote. Silverman didn't. None of them read anything I wrote. I read everything that they had written or things they had written in order to prepare for the debate because I wanted to understand their arguments to see if they were true, and if they weren't, to show why they weren't true. I don't see that same thing coming from atheists. See, atheists don't really have arguments for why atheism is true. What they have are complaints about the way God's running the universe. You know, gee, there's too much evil in the world. There must not be a God. Or God didn't do things the way I wanted him to do, so God doesn't exist. That's a non sequitur. That does not follow. And so I think it's really important. Another thing you can do if you want to see, look, the biggest competitor to Christianity and theism right now is Islam, because there's three major theistic worldviews, right? If theism's true, it's either Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Well, we believe Judaism's true. It's just that Christianity completes it. Islam is the only other competition. So you should look at debates between Christians and Muslims. So David Wood, for example, has debated many Muslims. So has Mike Licona and others. So go look at those debates and see what you get from those debates. If you're interested in seeing, and you should be interested in what Muslims believe and why they believe it. So I think you ought to examine all the arguments and then make a decision for yourself. Does that make sense?
Sí.
Where are you?
¿Sí?
By the way, where are you?
Oh, estoy en cuarto, in my room.
No, pero ¿de qué país?
Yeah, the country.
I'm from El Salvador, but...
Oh, El Salvador. Man, the first callers from Central America. Check that out.
No, but currently I'm living in the United States.
He's living in the U.S., man.
Oh,
okay, so
okay.
Frank, hold on. Frank, I got to give this to you.
What?
You jumped the gun, man.
I thought you said he was in El Salvador. All right, well, we tried.
He's from El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Felipe.
Muchas gracias a ustedes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And make sure that I got a daily show every morning in Instagram, 9:30 a.m. New York time. Come check it out. 100% in Spanish, little Spanglish every now and then, but it's good, man. I'll see you, man. Peace. All right, Frank. Thanks. So now we got somebody else here, and I think this is going to be an excellent interaction here. We got, I don't know how to say this name, but we're going to...
Bring him on and ask him.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is, as soon as, just make sure you turn your camera on, and I'm going to try to bring it in right here. So wait a minute. Replace network, and got it. All right. Okay, there you go. So you're right there on your celly, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll bring you in. Bam. And how do you say your name, bro?
Amaziah.
Okay, so now it's giving me the echo again, but it's only me. I know what to do. So I'm a quick learner, and bam, now we're good to go. What's happening, Amaziah?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this on.
Absolutely. Where are you, Amaziah? Where are you?
I'm from Alberta, Canada.
Oh, are you in Canada right now?
Canada, eh?
Calgary.
Oh, Canada. Check this out. We got El Salvador to Canada. Beautiful. What's going on?
Me and my friends were, I'm a Christian. Me and my friends were struggling on the topic of like alcohol. We were talking about it just yesterday. And one thing that I was always taught is that the alcohol is a sin when you get drunk. But some of my other friends were saying that drinking in itself is the sin, and that was just something that I kind of struggled with.
Yeah, well, if that were the case, then Jesus was encouraging a lot of sin when he changed the water into wine, right?
Yeah.
Drunkenness certainly is a sin according to the scriptures. And I know there's a lot of people out there that for many reasons think alcohol is evil, and it is a big problem. There's no question about it. My father was an alcoholic. His two brothers and sister were all alcoholics as well. I know it's very dangerous and it can be very problematic, but I don't think the Bible prohibits all use of alcohol. I don't think it does. And we could go into the reasons why, but I'll refer you to my friend Mike Winger. I don't know if Mike Winger is. He's got a YouTube channel. And it's Bible, what's it called?
BibleThinker.org.
That's it.
Bible Thinker, yeah.
On YouTube. And he just did, maybe a year ago, like a 50 or an hour-long talk on the Bible changed my mind on alcohol. Now, Mike does not drink. But he says that the Bible does not prohibit it, although it warns and gives dire warnings about its overuse. There's no question about it. So we have to be very careful that we're not imposing our own preferences on the text. We're letting the text speak for itself, but it's totally fine, quite obviously, that if you want to abstain because you know the danger of it, that's wise in my view. But it doesn't mean that you have to.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Great question. And I know a lot of people hate us for that, but I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just trying to tell you what the Bible says about it. Okay? So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
God bless you, man.
Excellent, man. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's keep this going, man. This is good.
Yeah,
Can we get
this is good, man. It's working out, man. I don't know how you did it, man, but you came up with a good idea, man. I know you
once in a while, man.
Bro, I know you rely on me for innovation, but this kick butt, bro. Okay.
Let's keep it going.
Okay, so I got somebody else, and it says, "What's up, guys? What's up?" So, are you ready? I'm gonna have to tell him. Are you ready? Come on now. Okay, are you ready? Okay, so we're gonna bring him in. Well, let me see. Is Bishop? Okay, so we're gonna bring this person in really quickly. There you go. Let's add him to the call, and then I'll do the techie stuff really quick when he comes in, and we're ready to go. Let's see. Is he answering? Is he not answering? What's happening? There you go. All right. Okay. So hold on. Let me go ahead and bring you in. Okay. Network capture. Got you in. Let me go ahead and clean out the monitor and say something.
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Welcome to the show.
So I'm glad to be here.
What's your name?
My name is Bishoy.
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 Bishoy. Where are you from, Bishoy? Where are you right now?
I'm in Tennessee.
Tennessee. All right. So we went from, at least originally from El Salvador, all the way to Canada. Now we're right in the middle of the country, Tennessee. Go. What are we talking about?
Okay. So I go to a high school down here, and I'm trying to use the gifts that God's given me, and you guys like helped me out like a lot with apologetics and stuff like that. I'm trying to use that. I'm trying to witness to people and stuff, and I'm just trying to understand how to witness to people without taking any pride in it and giving God all the glory.
Wow. Well, I think one of the ways you can do it is ask a lot of questions and see what people believe, where they are. Where'd you go, man? There you go. All right. just ask a lot of questions and see where people are before you try and tell them what you think the truth is. Because before somebody can be interested in your worldview, they have to doubt their worldview first. So I don't know if you've ever seen the book written by my friend Greg Kokel. Have you ever seen this book?
I've seen it. I think I'm going to buy that sometime. So.
Yeah, I would get this book because it will help you converse with people in a very skillful way so you can have good spiritual conversations with people without the pressure that you might feel if you don't know how to guide a conversation. So some of the questions you might ask when people say something, Greg Kokel here would say, you want to ask, well, what do you mean by that? And how'd you come to that conclusion? What evidence do you have for that position? You know, just simple things like that will help you have a conversation. And look, I think somebody put it this way. I don't know who it was, but I think they were very wise. They said evangelism is just one beggar showing another beggar where the food is, right? We have to have that mindset. We're no better than anybody else without Jesus, right? The only way that we're getting forgiven is because of what Christ has done for us. We're not working our way to heaven. We're not getting brownie points. We are coming to faith the same way everybody comes to faith, by trusting in Jesus. That's the way we're going to get forgiven. So we shouldn't have any pride in saying, well, you know, I'm saved and I have something you don't. No, the only reason you have it is because God offered it to you, and he's offering it to these other people as well. So you just have to have that kind of mindset that you're just one beggar showing another beggar where the food is. And there's no merit at all in accepting a gift. If someone gives you a gift, it's not meritorious for you to take it. It's just wise. That's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Excellent. And thanks for wanting to witness on at a high school campus, man. That is great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I just think God is leading me, because I used to do online school, and then he took me in to school. And, man, your videos are helping so much. Thank you, man. God bless you guys so much.
Well, thank you. Well, share those videos with people and share the app, too.
For sure. I'll try.
All right. God bless, man. Thank you. Thanks for being on. Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now we got to go. One of the things that I want to do right now, Frank, because it looks like either people don't know how to use Skype or they don't read instructions. Are you like me, Frank, that you open the box and take all the foam and the padding out and toss away the instructions and then figure it out on your own MacGyver way?
No, man, I just call you and you tell me what to do.
Well, yeah, a lot of people don't have that. That privilege. So
hey,
this
man,
is what
we got to put on the ticker. We got to put where people go to ask questions.
Yeah. But the team's already doing that. The team is already taking care of that in terms of showing people where to go. So this is what I'm gonna do. I got people. I got people on the. I got one person here trying to get me. Hey, can you help me with the camera? Absolutely not. I cannot do that. I'm in the middle of a million other things. But when you come, actually, let me see if I can zoom this in, man. I just got to show people what they have to do. You see this form right here, ladies and gentlemen. When it says Skype name, it's got a big fat gray square that gives you even an example of what the Skype name looks like. I cannot look at you if your name is Juan, because there's a million people on Skype named Juan, and I have no time to go look for you. So you got to give me your detailed Skype name. And I gave you an example, and I taught you how to look it up. It was really simple. Okay? I taught you how to look it up. Okay? So make sure you follow, because 85% of the questions that we have and the people that have come into the show hasn't given me hold on, hasn't given us the proper ID to bring them in. So I need you to do it right, and we'll be glad to bring you into the show. Now we have another person here that we're going to invite really quickly. But again, this person didn't give me their Skype name. I was able to find them. So let's see if this allows me to bring them in really quickly. So let's see. No, that is the problem, man. Whenever people don't give me that ID with their name, is just so difficult that I need you guys that make my life easier, okay?
It's got to say live, whatever, right?
That's it. Yeah, it's got to say live, and sometimes has a CID and a few other things. So let's see if this fella answer, okay? Let's see if Agustin answer. Agustin, can you hear us? There you go, Agustin. We can see you, man.
Okay.
Okay, we can hardly hear you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, absolutely. So give us a minute, and we will bring you into the call.
But that's okay with me.
Give us a minute, and we will bring you in right now. So let me see if I can bring you in 3, 2. Are you here? Yes.
I hear I'm hearing like double conversation.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear Frank? Well, the echo. There's nothing I can do to help you with the echo because that's on your end.
Go ahead, Augustine. Just ask your question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, let me go with my question. That's fine. Here's my question: how can I explain people about the Trinity? Because I know usually I use the example of a treble leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I explain that to people, non-Christians?
Yeah, great question about the Trinity. I think there's no perfect illustration or way to explain the Trinity, but I'll tell you what I use. I use a triangle. Think of a triangle. A triangle has 3 corners to it, 3 points on it, yet it's one triangle. And this represents the Godhead. That there's one triangle, there's a Father in the corner, there's a Son in one corner, and a Holy Spirit in the other corner. They're all equally God. They share the divine nature. So there's one God with 3 persons in that Godhead. But down here at the Son, there's a circle attached to that triangle, and that circle is Jesus's human nature. And this is why people get confused sometimes when they think about the Trinity. They'll say, wait a minute, how can Jesus be God when he didn't know when he was coming back? Or how could he be God if he got hungry? God can't get hungry, right? Well, whenever you ask a question about Jesus, you have to ask 2 questions. Did Jesus know when he was coming back? As God, yes. As man, no. Did Jesus get hungry? As God, no. As man, yes. And it would seem that since Jesus is our mediator, and he is the mediator between God and man, he has to have a nature on each side of that divide. He has to have a human nature and a divine nature. And so Jesus does. That's how he can be our mediator. Now, one other thing about the Trinity that I think is very important, because a lot of people think, oh, the Trinity is against reason. It's not against reason. It may be beyond reason. It's not contradictory to say there are 3 persons in one God. It would be contradictory to say there's one God and 3 gods, but that's not what the Trinity is. And it also is the model for human relationships. It's a model for love. Why? Well, God is love because there is a lover, a loved one, and a spirit of love in the Godhead from all eternity. A purely monotheistic being like Allah can't be loved. Why? Before he creates, there's no one to love. But the Christian God is love from all eternity because there's a lover, a loved one, and a spirit of love. And this is what sets the table for us, Augustine, in the sense that human relationships are this way. Marriage is this way. The husband and the wife are both equally human. They're both equal in the eyes of God, but they have different functions. The husband has a different function than the wife. And just like Jesus is equally God to the Father, he can submit his will to the will of the Father. And a wife can submit her will to the will of the husband as long as the husband isn't doing something immoral. If the husband is doing something immoral, the woman should not submit. Okay? And we can submit to one another, just what the Bible says, husbands submit to your wife, wives submit to your husbands. We can do that just like Jesus submitted to the Father. So if Jesus can submit, so can we.
Exactly. So we're a copy. We're his image. That's what I understand. We have different roles, but we are one together. Like one.
Everybody is equal in the eyes of God in the sense that we're all made in the image of God, but we all have different functions. We have different functions in a church. We have different functions in a family.
Very
I do
good.
want to say something. Your question was related to how do you explain the Trinity to a non-believer, and I would say that when we're doing evangelism and when we're talking to people, and this is again, we go back to the book of Tactics by Greg Koukl. If you haven't read it, read it. It's an excellent read. You're gonna learn tons. And one of the things that Greg talks about is let's not use a lot of Christian lingo when we're just trying to plant a little seed and going so deep into these theological concepts if the person don't even grasp the simple way to come to the foot of the cross. So I will say if they're interested in high-end theological topics and they want to discuss them just for the heck of it, then that's on them. But if they really want to know, they're in the search for truth and they want to know more, I will redirect or steer them into the basics, and then from there, hopefully they'll come into the truth, and then you can start talking about the Trinity. But I will say you have to test them, right? And you have to, or just try to figure out where they are in this in their walk, in their in their journey, and then make a decision whether if you want to discuss something like the Trinity with them or the hypostatic union or things like that for us are like, oh man, I can read this all day long, but for them might be something that you're like, okay, maybe I'm confusing them more than I'm giving them the just grab los mangos bajitos, the stuff at the bottom shelf, right? And then you can go up from there.
Right, I know what you're talking about, because I'm a volunteer chaplain in the prison system. This is locally here in Puerto Rico. That's where I'm calling from.
Praise the Lord, man. Over there in Puerto Rico. So you're going to send me your address, so when I go to Puerto Rico, I can go chill with you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Arroz con gandule?
Right after the pandemic thing.
Right. Okay. Well, I have your Skype number. You cannot get away now.
You can call me anytime.
All right, brother.
I do appreciate the time, and God bless
you, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much, bro.
That beautiful island for the Lord. That's great.
Absolutely. Amen.
Good question, Trinity.
Yeah, absolutely. We got one right here. Quickly, we got, okay, we're going to bring him in. This is work. I'm getting better at this, man. You think I'm getting better at this? Okay, we'll see. All right. So let's see if I can get this to work, man. Okay, we got Jay. Jay coming in 3, 2, 1. And then as soon as he shows up on my screen here, then we can... okay, Jay joined. So hold on, Jay. Give me a minute. I'll bring you on the screen. You got to turn down your computer, because I'm hearing myself with a little bit of delay here. So there you go. Now you're going to hear us in your ears. Okay, a little flavor in your ear right here. Awesome, man. And we got you in. And now in 3, 2, 1, you're in, bro. What's happening?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So the question that I had was about...
what's your name?
Oh, right. My name is Martin.
Martin's in one of our classes, man. He's in an online class.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the Essentials class, man. He snuck his way in here.
I see it. He's double dipping, man. Okay. Hold on, man.
Yeah.
So the question I had was a question from a really good friend of mine. He was asking, how do we reason eternal punishment for temporal sin, or rather, how do we find the truth of hell or an eternal torment or that kind of situation for a temporary situation on earth out of the Bible?
Okay, well, first of all, you mean is he asking where in the Bible this is taught, or is he asking how is this moral? What's he asking?
He himself, I think, has a hard time wrapping his head around the concept. He's a really loving guy. He's a Christian. Okay. He was raised Christian. He has no trouble believing this is true. He wants to reason so badly with how he could justify an eternal torments for temporal sin, because sin happens on earth and eternity is forever.
Right. Yeah. Excellent question. And I don't know if I have a completely adequate answer, because it's emotionally a difficult question, but I think intellectually it works. Let me just say a few things about it. Number one, the time it takes you to commit a crime is maybe seconds, but you don't only your punishment is not only seconds, right? I mean, if you murder somebody, it might take you 2 seconds to pull a trigger, but you're not only going to serve just 2 seconds in jail, right? You may serve the rest of your life in jail. You may give your life in capital punishment. So the duration of the crime does not necessarily equal the duration of the punishment. Secondly, let's suppose you have a 5-year-old, and your 5-year-old slaps another a 4-year-old that you have, right? Now you're going to correct that 5-year-old and go, you're not supposed to hit your brother or whatever, right? Now it's bad to hit your brother, right? But what if your 5-year-old, instead of hitting your brother, hits you, the father? Are you going to be more upset over that? Are you going to say that's more wrong than hitting your brother? I would say yes, because you are the authority figure, you're the caretaker, and for your 5-year-old, or if we move it up to say a 15-year-old, then it makes even more sense, right? To strike you it seems to be a greater crime than if he just strikes his brother, which is bad enough, okay? So if you are striking God and you're doing it every day of your life by sinning, that's more of a crime than if you just strike somebody else, if you sin against somebody else, which is a sin as well. So there are different levels of crime, just like there are different levels of virtue, right? And to do something evil like that to the greatest good, the greatest being, God himself, would seem to merit a greater punishment. Thirdly, who says when you go to hell you stop sinning? You know, you're still conscious, you still have autonomy. Sin may continue in hell. And fourthly, I would also add this, that what was that fourth point? You know, how you get older, you start to lose your train of
Frank. Yeah. This is for all of us aging.
Yeah,
little tiny violin play for all of us who are getting old. We just.
Oh, I got the fourth point. Thanks for reminding me. The fourth point is this, Mark. Thank you. The fourth point is this. This is a moral problem, right? We're saying, well, God is immoral for doing such a thing. That's really what we're saying. But God is the very standard of morality and the standard of justice. So whatever happens in the afterlife, by definition, it's going to be just. We may not understand it. We may not be able to emotionally comprehend it. But since God is just, there is no one in the afterlife who's going to say, God, I got a raw deal. You were unfair to me. No, not going to happen, because he is the standard of justice. And he knows everything that we've done. And he knows what the exact kind of punishment is appropriate for us. And I might say the final thing is, God is not going to force anybody into heaven against their will. I mean, there are people who have been running from Jesus their entire lives. Who's going to be in heaven? Jesus is going to be in heaven. Is Jesus going to say to people, hey, where are you going? You're with me now. You know, no, that wouldn't be very fair. That wouldn't be very loving. So he separates himself from them, and that's what hell is. It's separation from God. And there are variations of torment in hell, just like there are variations of reward in heaven, because that's what justice demands.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man.
There's a lot more to say on that. In fact, our mutual friend Greg Kokel, along with Tim Barnett, did a 3-part series on their newsletter. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Their ambassador newsletter. If you go to Stand to Reason, str.org, and look up hell, it
should come up. Yeah.
Yeah, it just came up a year or two ago, and it's a 3-part series. And it deals with the other question that some Christians are talking about now, is maybe hell is of a finite duration. It's conditional.
It's conditional, yeah.
Yeah, they call it. And Greg and Tim look at that, and they decide that according to the scriptures, that's not the right view.
Good deal. We have somebody else right now. We're going to bring them in. Hold on.
All right.
See if I can work this out really quickly. Let me see if I can close this. No, this is not the thing. You know the thing. Hold on. It's not letting me do it. What's happening? Hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay, I gotta get homie out. Got him out. Now I'm going to bring Landon Tucker into the call. He's been waiting in the green room for a minute. Now we're gonna bring in Mr. Tucker, and now as soon as he is in the call, then why am I not able to see him? Are you able to see him, Frank? There it is. Okay, hold on, buddy. So now we got him in. Now I got to bring him into the fall. Actually, can you turn your phones the other way around? There you go. Now, and try to center yourself. And now I'm going to bring you into the show. All right, and you are there in 3, 2, 1. What's happening, man?
Hey, Landon, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Landon. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm actually a student at NOVTS. But I just want to thank you guys so much for the ministry that you do. Frank, in terms...
So wait a minute, NOTBS is New Orleans New Orleans Seminary?
Baptist,
okay, good.
Yes,
sir. With Bob Stewart?
Seminary.
Correct. Yeah, I'm taking 2 courses under Dr. Stewart.
Say hi to Bob for me. Great guy.
Yes, sir, I will. When we think about the problem of evil and are interacting with people who have been hurt, maybe people who kind of understand the philosophical arguments of say Bambi and Sue, how do we show them with logic the reason why there's free will existing in the world, but also with grace since people have been so hurt?
Who are the people that you're addressing here, Landon? Just so I can be clear.
Atheists specifically.
Oh, okay. And are you having conversations with atheists who are saying there's too much evil in the world? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, correct. That would kind of be a barrier before they would even believe.
Okay, I would ask them, what do you mean by evil? And the reason I ask that question is because if they think about it long enough, they're going to realize that evil cannot exist unless good exists, but good can't exist unless God exists, because what we mean by good is the very nature of God. Otherwise, if there's no God, there's no way to define good or evil. It's just one human being's opinion against another. And so ask the question. You may want to move your camera down a little bit, Landon, because it looks like you're about to drown. There you go. It looks like he's going under.
There you go. He can see it. He can see it.
Anyway, the idea that there's too much evil in the world presupposes a standard. Mm-hmm. And so you might ask them, what is that standard? Now, if you ask them, define evil, and they start giving you examples, well, murder is evil, rape is evil, say, no, I don't want an example, I want a definition. And they'll probably quickly realize you can't define evil without reference to good. That's why we have phrases or statements or words, I should say, like immoral, right? Or unjust, because these are words that are pointing out that there's something good that is being degraded. Evil doesn't exist on its own. It only exists as a degradation or a lack in a good thing. So evil is like cancer. If you take all the cancer out of a good body, you got a better body. What happens if you take all the body out of the cancer? You got nothing. Evil is like rust in a car. If you take all the rust out of a car, you got a better car. If you take all the car out of the rust, you've got nothing. In other words, evil does not exist on its own. It can only exist in the context of a good thing, as a lack in a good thing. Well, they know evil exists, so they have to admit then that good exists, which means God exists. So evil doesn't disprove God. Evil may prove there's a devil out there, but it doesn't disprove God, because there'd be no such thing as evil unless there was good, and there'd be no such thing as good unless God existed. So you might want to go that route. And I know this sounds counterintuitive to people, but you can say it this way. If evil exists, God exists. Again, not because God is doing evil, but because God is the standard by which we'd even know what evil was. And then you can talk about their specific instances of evil. Why did such and such a thing happen to me? Or why did my mom die? Or why was that Christian such a jerk to me? Then you can get into discussing those instances But you have to establish from the beginning that evil does not exist unless good exists, and good doesn't exist unless God exists. Now, there's one exception to this, Landon, and it's this. In fact, this happened to me in London like 4 years ago. I was at a church in London, and a lady got up to the microphone, and she basically asked the same question, if God, why evil? And I started to give the answer I just gave you. And in the middle of the answer, I went, oh. And I asked her, I said, hey, before I go any further, I just may have made a mistake. Can I ask you a question? Why did you ask, if God, why evil? And she said, I was just curious. I was given the right answer for her question. But if she had said to me, the reason I'm asking is because my baby died last week, all that philosophical stuff I was just talking about wouldn't resonate, right? It would probably be offensive. So if you're talking to an atheist who is really hurt, like immediately or very recently, the stuff that I just mentioned isn't the way to start. What you need to do, that person needs a pastor. They don't need a philosopher. However, at some point, the philosophical answer is going to resonate, and that's going to be the first step back to wholeness. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, before you go, I want to know, I just heard it through the grapevine right now, bro, that you have a TikTok account and you be talking about apologetics. Is that you, man?
That's true, yes, sir.
All right, tell everybody where they can find you on TikTok. Obviously, the Chinese already got all your credit cards, but it doesn't matter. Go ahead on and tell people where to find you on TikTok.
If they have my credit cards, they're going to be very disappointed. They're not going to be
able to. Man. Should we play the violin for the Chinese? Should we play? Okay, a violin. Zero money. Okay, maxed out. College student. Ramen noodles. Okay, all of that.
That's it.
Yes, sir. On TikTok, it is LandyDandy24. So I appreciate anybody I can have a conversation with. I'm always willing.
Absolutely, man.
Landy Dandy 24. By the way, Landy Dandy, there's much more in this book, particularly on the question of evil, stealing from God. So if you have an opportunity to pick that up, there's a whole chapter on if God, why evil.
Perfect. Thank you, bro.
Okay. Thanks.
Good to have you. All right, so we got a couple more, but before we have a $100 super chat that we got the answer, man.
Oh, all right, man.
Okay, so let's go ahead on. We got Aiken Reyes ask, how do we balance the argument that hell is a consequence of free will with the times that God appears to supersede our free will, for example, by killing us? And I know you have an answer for that. So why does God allow us to damn ourselves, but also decides when we die, often against our own free will? And I know there's several presuppositions of assumptions by the questioner. It would have been awesome if we could bring him in and have a dialogue. But how would you answer that? Do you want me to read it again, or you ready to shoot?
I think first of all, since God knows all possible contingencies, He knows that if somebody were to live another day or another year or another decade, they would become a Christian. Then God could find a way to keep them alive. But God knows, obviously, how people are going to behave in all possible contingencies. This is a doctrine that, or a way of explaining God's sovereignty and human free will through something called Molinism. He knows all possible contingencies. So when people die, God knows that if they're not believers, they wouldn't become believers even if they had 1,000 more years. So God wants people to be saved more than we do. And if He wants people to be saved, He wants all to be saved, and some aren't saved. What's the one thing that is keeping God from achieving that goal? It's our free will. Because, look, if God does everything and we don't have any free will, then why isn't everyone saved? It says several times in the scriptures, God wants all to be saved. He does not delight in the death of anyone. The reason people are not saved is because they freely choose to reject to reject Christ and stay in their sins. That's why. So it's not something that God is taking free will away from anybody. He's giving everybody ample opportunity, and those, of course, who die before the age of accountability, I believe, go to heaven. We can talk about that if you want. But there's not going to be anybody in the afterlife, as I said earlier, who are going to say, God, I got a raw deal. If I only had another opportunity, if you only gave me more time, if you only gave me more evidence, I would believe. No, not going to happen.
All right. So excellent. And thank you for the super chat. Anybody who wants to help us and donate us. I've been seeing a lot of stars coming through Facebook. So thank you very much. That helps us to continue our ministry here. And the people who are helping us and blessing us through the super chat also is fantastic. Now, we're going to have another questioner here. You are on the Cross Examine Hope show. Go ahead, man. What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Elliot Strauss, and ever since the pandemic happened, it really woke me up to just studying God's Word, because years ago, I did get a degree in biblical studies, but after I graduated, I just went more a secular route, career-wise. But, it's just, when I saw everything stop, it kind of just shook me, and it's like, you know what? Everything that I've been focusing on all this time has not been fruitful. It hasn't served anyone but myself. So I've been reading extensively over the last couple months. I got like a full set commentary series and like doctrinal stuff. But I was just wondering, what books would you recommend that have influenced you in your walk and have really ignited you to share your faith and to just grow in your desire to obey God and all his commands?
Wow, great question, Elliot. I've got probably 2,000 books in my office right now. It's so hard to pick just a few of them. Look, I haven't read all of them, but I feel smarter just being in here. Anyway, there's, other than obviously the Bible, books that I think are critical for Christians to read are books like Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. In fact, anything by C.S. Lewis is just excellent. Looking at my shelf right here, if you're looking for more apologetic works than anything by Norman Geisler, he's my co-author, or William Lane Craig, or books like by my friend J. Warner Wallace, Cold Case Christianity. This is a great book. I already mentioned Tactics. By the way, there's a brand new book that I've been recommending. In fact, the last Hope One we had was for this book, How Not to Read the Bible by Dan Kimball. Had Dan on. Dan wrote, this is a great book he's written that answers a lot of those questions about those violent passages in the Old Testament, that kind of thing. This is a classic. Do you have this book? Do you have Knowing God?
Yes, not in this stack, but I do have that.
Okay.
I read that recently. Do you know, what book would you recommend? Because my brother, I've been trying to witness to him, but he keeps saying that I don't believe in a book written by men. So is there any defense of the...
Wait. So he doesn't believe in any books, because all books are written by men.
He doesn't... He just keeps that up. He's like, well, I don't believe that because it's written by fallible men, so it's,
But okay, when people say... I can't believe it because it was written or said by a fallible man, what you need to say to them is, well, why should I believe what you just said then? Because you're a fallible man, right? In other words, it's a self-defeating statement to say you can't trust anything from fallible people because the person saying it is a fallible person. Look, yeah, people are fallible. People err, but it doesn't mean they always err. There's more inerrant books than the Bible out there. I don't know if you know that. But people who write books with no errors in it, that's inerrant. We only think there's one inspired book from God, but there are many inerrant books. Here, this is a great book, The Prodigal God by Tim Keller. Okay. This book explains Christianity extremely well from the prodigal son parables. Anything by Lee Strobel is great for apologetics. I can go on. Books on theology. My co-author, Dr. Norman Geisler, has written a bunch of systematic theologies back there. That's going to be very helpful.
I would say if you want to go deep into theology, especially how the Old Testament ties into the New Testament, I will recommend The Unseen Realm by my friend Mike Heiser, bro. This is going to rock your world, bro. Yep. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic read. It's just full of great nuggets of wisdom. Naked Bible podcast is something you got to go back and sit down and listen to all 350 plus episodes. Start from the beginning. It's amazing. All the footnotes are here. If people just want to, say, hey, well, where did you get that from? He gives you the whole paper trail to show you that he's just putting pieces together. He's not coming up with new and novel ideas. It's just fantastic. So I think that's something you should avail yourself of. If you're as busy as I am, then cop just the audio book, and whenever you're driving, whenever you're walking, whenever you're doing your workouts, listen to it, man. It's just amazing, man.
So Elliot, report back to us in 10 years after you read all that, okay?
All right. Well, I'm pretty driven, so I'm going to try and plow through it.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Great question.
Thank you, bro. I do have, and I think Elliot was the last in the line. We're going to shut it down because we've been here, almost an hour and a half, Frank. I do want to say something, though. We have a couple of super chatters here. We got Mike Q922 gave us $20. He says, thank you for being you. That's all he put. So thank you, Mike. And we do this to the glory of God. That's exactly. We wake up in the morning pumped up to do this because we still got, I think we still got him alive. And he's still, okay, let me go ahead on. Okay, I got him out.
Cracking up.
Yeah, I got him out. So, thank you for your support. And then I got Trina. Trina always supports, always share our streams. She always shows up when we're live. And she says, exactly how old were you when you began to wonder about God and why? Was it due to emptiness, evil in your life, or perhaps a death? How would you answer, Trina, before we go, Frank?
Yeah, I would say that I always believed that there was a God because I always thought there had to be a first cause. But I just didn't know who Jesus was. And I always felt the moral law pressing on me that I ought to be good, that I ought to not do evil. I always felt that. So I had kind of natural revelation impressed on me, but I never knew who Jesus was. I went to Catholic high school, but for some reason I never got the explanation as to who Jesus was and what he did. And so it wasn't until college, and even after college when I was in the Navy, that I started to learn who Jesus was. A friend of mine, I had so many questions for, he finally said, look, you just need to get Josh McDowell books, Evidence of Man's a Verdict and More Than a Carpenter. So I came to faith through apologetics. And that was when I was about 24 years old. So I always believed in God, though. I just didn't know who Jesus was.
All right, so we got one more because he was the super chatter that actually was able to send us an email and get here. So you're going to be able to get here. So hold on. I'll bring you in. Okay, so all you have to do, Nate, is just wait until I bring you into the call. And, okay, so gotcha. Here, I think I got Nate in. Let me add him to the call. Nate, as soon as you see the call in, just be quiet so I can actually add you to the stream. We see Nate. All right, hold on, Nate. Let me bring you into the stream and get you in front of our live audience. So I got Nate in. Nate, I think you are ready to go in 3, 2, 1. What's happening, Nate? Where are you from, man?
Hi, I'm in Lansing, Michigan. Thanks for taking my call. I know it's kind of the deadline.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, you're supporting us, and you have great questions, so that's exactly what we want to do.
Man. He's up there with the Spartans.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
300.
Go MSU. So I just wanted to add a little bit of a clarification to my question. I really liked your answer. But what I'm asking is, it seems like sometimes, so, it's ultimately hell is our choice. I like your argument there, and I really agree with it. But I came with a little bit of a contradiction that I found, which is, it seems like, at least in the Bible and stuff that I've, the way I understand how God works, there are times when he does things to us that we necessarily don't want. I feel like death is like there's lots of people who don't want to die, but God chooses that we die anyway. I feel like that's a really easy example. It doesn't have to be that though. It can be like the plagues. There was a lot of Egyptians who I'm sure didn't want to break out in boils or have their cattle die. So stuff where why is it that free will is such an important standstone when it comes to whether we're damned forever versus in life? It seems like there are other places where free will doesn't matter as much.
Well, I think free will is what ultimately got us into trouble because we used our free will to rebel against God. But thankfully, he gave us that opportunity, because if he didn't give us that opportunity, we couldn't love, right? Without free will, you can't love. It also opens up the possibility for evil. So he's given us that opportunity. But maybe you could rephrase your question, because I'm not sure I'm getting the gist of it. Yeah, God does things that we don't like, obviously. We're not God, and we're his subjects, obviously. If God had to do things that we like all the time, first of all, in my view, we'd become even more selfish than we already are, right? I mean, if I got everything I wanted every time, I would be more of a moral monster than I already am. And so I think we need, in our fallen state, I think we need difficulty. I think we need struggle. I think things can't go our way all the time, because if they did, we wouldn't become more like Jesus. We'd become more like Satan. And the scriptures talk a lot about this, how difficulty can bring forth patience and perseverance and virtue. So I think putting everything under our control would be a disaster.
I do agree.
I do want to say something. For example, you mentioned the Egyptian, and then maybe somebody who actually comes to Christ and is used by Christ. Let's look at Paul or Peter or somebody like Frank, right? And you say, well, why in some instances free will matter, and in some instances it looks like it doesn't matter? He was an Egyptian. Let's just go ahead and let the angel of death just squash everybody, right? And then when we read that in the Bible, we hear that like, okay, God is evil, God is doing all these things. But you gotta think about this, since God knows the beginning from the end, he's atemporal, right? He's not looking at history in a chronological sense like we are. Free will matters because he knows what you would have done under any series of circumstances and what choices you would have freely made. So whether he snuff you right now or during the plagues because you didn't put the blood on top of your doorpost, right? Or 40 years later, the outcome is the same. And remember, Frank says it all the time. When he takes a life, he's not committing murder because it is his prerogative. I watched a show growing up called El Chavo del Ocho, where one of the guys will build a huge castle, a sand castle. They were at the beach. And then the other guy comes and kicks it down, and he's super mad. It's a comedy show. And the guy chases him up and down the beach for hours, right? Now, he's mad because the other guy cannot rebuild that castle the way he can, right? But if it was his own castle, he kicks it down. He has that prerogative, and he can build it back up. So there is no problem. There's no moral issue. And remember that when you die, you are translated to another immaterial existence. You leave your body behind, but there is a part of you, an immaterial soul, that still is still conscious, is still alive, right? So you got to think about this. It's not that free will don't matter. It's the fact that since it is not part of this chronological time within this space-time continuum, that we're making the choices, that doesn't mean that God is not being just. Remember, this is part of his nature, perfect justice. So if he decides to take you away, he's taking into account everything that you would have done. And remember that the way that we think about God is always from a human perspective, so we're limited.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I suppose the heart of the question is less than I'm questioning. It's not necessarily questioning God. It's sort of looking at the argument. It's not. I'm not really questioning God. I know,
right.
He's infinitely vast in a mind melting way. So it's my issue isn't with God. Or it's not even really an issue. It's more of a philosophical question about how there seems to be a disparity.
Maybe you could restate that disparity before we go, so we can maybe try and hit the nail on the head.
I'm sorry that I'm dragging this out. I don't want to waste your time or make this longer than it needs to be. In simple terms, I've watched your show when someone comes up to the plate and they're like, why Temporal or internal. I forget what the phrase is. You know what I'm saying? Temporal punishment.
Yeah. Why is there eternal punishment for temporal sins? Yeah. We actually had that question earlier tonight. Yep.
It's a common one. My understanding of your answer to that is, or maybe that's not the right question. My understanding is generally your answer of why hell is God, wants to be in a relationship with us, but lets us choose hell anyway. Because he loves us, because free will. Mm-hmm. So it seems like a God who is willing to let us choose something that is going to be, horrifying beyond comprehension, places a very, very high value on free will.
Yes, because that's the only way that he can respect us as creatures, is by allowing us to make choices. But remember, when we say it's horrifying beyond comprehension, that's true, but his justice is perfect for each person in hell. He is not, we might not understand it, we can't comprehend it, but God, since he is the standard of justice and love and mercy, is going to ensure that nobody in the afterlife is getting more punishment or more reward than they deserve.
True. And so my question is, ultimately, with that high, value on free will, why does it appear that there are instances where he chooses to ignore that free will or supersede that free will if he puts such a high value on it?
Well, the question is, what instances does he ignore it? You mean when people die?
I feel like that's a good example, but it's not just that. It's anything that is like inflicted on us against our will, essentially.
Well, okay, yeah, but see, free will is just our ability to make choices to either love or not love, to either do good or to do evil. And in a world that's a fallen world, where we have a fallen nature, as I said before, if everything went just our way all the time, we'd become even more fallen. I mean, just think of a celebrity who never has anybody say no to him or her. Anything they want, they get. They become more self-centered and more selfish and less about other people and more about themselves. Instead of theology, they're engaged in meology. Everything's about me. Me. God does not want us to become about me. He wants us to become more like Jesus, because that will enable us not only to bring more people into the kingdom, but to enjoy God by enhancing our capacity to enjoy him here on earth. It will enhance our capacity to enjoy him in heaven. We're here to know God and to make him known. And if we didn't have difficulty in this fallen state, I think very few people would come to know God.
Okay, I think I caught on to something very important that you said there, is that you said free will is our ability to make choices. I was sort of assigning a more general definition to free will, in that free will is what we want, our the ability to want things more. So
thankfully we don't get everything we want.
Right.
Thankfully. In that sense, and I'm sorry to drag this on, I'll try to cut this off. Getting inflicted with boils, under my understanding, was a, confliction with free will, but not with the definition you're operating under. That makes it so much clearer. All right, that's the answer I wanted. Thank you.
Bro,
right, well,
thank you so much for the support and for coming here. I mean, it's a great way to go out. We have a couple of questions here on the super chat. We're going to fly by them. But thank you again for being here, bro.
Thanks.
God bless and continue the good work.
Thank you, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so we got Nate. Frank, I'm going to run through this one. The first one, what if only Eve but not Adam ate from the tree? Well, Adam was the representative, so I guess we wouldn't be where we are. But knowing humans, he would have ate sometime, right?
Yeah, I mean, when people say I wouldn't have done what Adam and Eve did, or why are being punished for what Adam and look, we've sinned ourselves regardless of what they've done. So
you know what I tell them? When I see that, I'll be like, when I hear them say that, I'm like, is that a joke?
Yeah, it's a hypothetical question. Gives us a hypothetical answer. I don't know, but anyway.
Right. Again, I got another one. Andrew Matherson gave us a couple of super chats. He says, I kind of forgot to put a message on the last one. It says, will you be doing another one of this one soon? I joined pretty late. Absolutely. This is moving forward. This is the way our cross-examine live streams, our Hope Ones are going to be. So be ready.
And we're going to try and do them every Thursday night.
Yes, Thursday night, 7:30. Make sure you put it on the calendar. Right. We got Vitali says, great Frank. He sends $50 and he says, who do you think is the author of Hebrews? So hold on, we got to put something mysterious here. The author of Hebrews is
Joel Osteen. No, it's not. I don't know who wrote Hebrews. And nobody does. A lot of people try and say the Apostle Paul, but every other book Paul wrote, he puts his name in. So I don't think it was him.
Ain't no telling. But believe me, when we gonna be chilling in the new heavens and the new earth, we're gonna be asking around, and then people are gonna be, that's the guy who wrote, or that's the gal who wrote. You know, somebody wrote it. Okay. Yeah. Now we have a couple of 2 super chats, and they're just, loving the stream. So we want to thank everybody who helped us get the super chats, everybody who gave us stars. This has been fantastic, man. We have to do it all over again, man. I got great ideas, Frank.
Amen. You're the man, bro. You are the man. And humble, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really, because I have more than just one idea, but I didn't want to share the other ones alive. So thanks everybody for being here. Let us know in the comment section or in the chat section if you love this format for the future Hope One shows and the Cross Examine live shows. Let us know if you would want to see this show every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And also make sure that you share this. Make sure that you click the subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the notification bell so you can get a notification every time we're here. Big Tech is trying to censor all of us, so make sure you do the same thing on Facebook. You follow Cross Examine, you follow Frank Turek. Make sure you follow Dr. Frank Turek, Dr. Frank Turek on Instagram, because guess what? I got another idea, Frank. We're gonna start doing this on Instagram because I just found a killer hack to go live on Instagram through these live shows. So I haven't told you this because I'm just that humble, man. Okay. No. I'm joking. I'm just testing it on my end to see if it really works.
It's worth it. 10 Steps to Humility and How I Made It in 7.
That's right. That's right.
It's really humble because you really made it in 6. So
thank you for being part of this show. You guys are our community, and we have big things coming on this year. Lord willing, 2021 is going to be a great year, especially on the digital side of things. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to be partnering with people like Logos Bible Software. We have online Christian courses coming up. Actually, right now, let me go ahead and show you this. If you go to online Christian, you go to Cross Examine. I'll just show you, Frank, because we got to show.
Click on online courses. There it is.
Right now. So here, let me see. Right there. They can see this right here. Bam. Okay, so you go to resources and you go to online courses. Right now, we got Detective J. Warner Wallace, starts in 3 days. Cold Case Christianity, the case for the reliability of the New Testament Gospels. This is fantastic. It's a premium certificate course where you can interact live with Jim, several locations through Zoom, and ask questions on the spot. This is a fantastic course, so much so that I'm a SES student, so Evangelical Seminary student, and we're taking a class with Detective Wallace right now. So we have a lot of new projects coming up, and I want you guys to be part of this. It starts February 15. We have 3 days, 10 hours, and 58 minutes to sign up. If you want to sign up a little bit after the deadline, don't. Go ahead on and do it now, okay? Don't wait until the last minute. Don't be like my son that thinks that he can cram up 5 lessons in the last 30 minutes of his school day. So make sure you go ahead on and do this. Sign up. We got tons of new material coming out this year. So Frank, I'll leave you with the last word and tell us. I'm going to ask you this question. Okay, tell us. This show is called Hope One. So leave our audience with a message of hope based on what we accomplished here to bring people in, and tell them why is it that we're doing this now. And with that, I'll let you go, and then we close the show. Here you go.
We're closing the show on this. Jesus rose from the dead. That's why we have hope. So regardless of what happens here in this life, your eternal future is secure, and all you need to do is trust in Christ. Just believe that Christ wrote that God rose him from the dead, and you will be saved. Believe in your heart, confess with your mouth, you will be saved. See you here next week, folks.
Amen.
Thanks.
Bye.